Well, boys and girls, and older ones too, you all know the story, don't you, of Moses. Moses, remember him who was born, he was put in the bulrushes, and then he was saved from there, and he went on to become a mighty prince in Egypt, and he led the people out, and they went through the Red Sea, and they came to a mountain called Sinai. And there, God came down in great power. It was an earthquake. There were thunderings. It was spectacular. And God gave the Ten Commandments. It was an awesome time. And the people of Israel have never forgotten it to this day, when God gave his commandments, his holy law. But they were now going to spend some time in the wilderness as they journey to the promised land. And God said to Moses, I want you to make me a sanctuary. And there's a little picture what we think it was like. And there was going to be priests who were going to serve at the altar. You can see the altar for sacrifice, and the tent of meeting where God would come and meet with the people. And so Moses, as he prayed to God, God said to him, let them make me a sanctuary that I may dwell among them. Question, boys and girls, where do we meet God today? Well, we meet God when we come to believe in the Lord Jesus Christ. And that's where we meet God, and we hear about Jesus in his word, and we meet with him as we meet with others here. But in those days, they didn't have what we have, and so God told them to build a sanctuary. And he gave a plan to Moses in his mind so he could see in the desert where they were, there was going to be like a fence with sheets and posts, so no one or no animal could get in, or no man could get in actually, unless you went through the front door. You see people getting in. There's only one door to go in. And that reminds us there's only one way to God. Jesus is the door. And the first thing they saw when they went in was this altar of sacrifice. What would that remind them of? Well, that would remind them of the fact that they'd done things wrong and they needed to bring a sacrifice. The priest was there to help them make a sacrifice. But the most important part of the tabernacle, there's the priest with his special garments on to make the sacrifice, was they needed to make some really, really expensive furniture, gold-covered things, because this was for God and it had to be the best. And so Moses there, he commanded the people to bring an offering. And the people brought gold, and they brought jewels, and they brought silver, and they brought bronze, and they brought garments, and they made a big heap. And the people brought so much that they got more than they needed. And Moses said, stop, we got more than we need. And they had to stop. Isn't that great? When God's people gave more than they needed to, had to, because they loved the Lord. That's what they did. And Moses said, great, we've got enough, we can make a start. And so the first thing that God told them to make was a box. It was about this big, and about that wide, and about that high. And it was made of wood, but then it was covered over with gold. And it was called the Ark of the Testimony, because those commandments that God had given on those tables of stone, the 10 Commandments, they were going to go inside that box. And on the lid, they had to make angels. And there's two men there making the box of wood and putting gold over the top. And they had to make the angels. And the angels had to have their wings like this. So there's the box. And there was one angel like that. And another angel like that. And their eyes were looking down on the surface of the box. and it was called the Ark of the Covenant, or the Ark of the Testimony. There it is. And this was a really special place. Oh, they had 2 poles in it, so that 4 men, each man would, one there, was really heavy, one there, one at the back, the other one at the back. And they had to carry it on their shoulders. They weren't allowed to put it on a cart. It had to be carried by a special class of men called the priests who carried it. So there's the angels looking down and looking at the centre. Now, why were they looking at the centre? Well, I'll tell you. Because shortly, when the tabernacle was finished, God would come, and his glory would be in that centre spot. So this tabernacle was a little picture on earth of heaven, because in heaven there is a throne, and God is on the throne, and the angels stand around and they say, "Holy, holy, holy is the Lord of hosts." The whole earth is full of his glory. So this is what happens in heaven, and that's going on now, by the way, as we have our worship here and we sing here. In heaven there's a vast multitude of angels and people who are Christians who've already gone to heaven, and they are worshipping the Lord up there. And God made this little model of heaven to be on earth to help the people in Israel in their journey. Now, final thought. When Jesus was on earth, the disciples who saw him, they said this: "We have seen his glory," because they had that box and that tabernacle to remind them of the glory of God. But we don't have those things today because they've been fulfilled. But we've got the real thing because Jesus is the one who fulfills this completely. And in him, all the glory of God dwells in his body. Over the next few weeks, we're going to be looking at the different pieces of furniture in the tabernacle. And next week, I'd like to bring you a little gold model of the Ark of the Testimony. Would you like to see that? Who would like to look inside? Okay, you come next week. I'll bring it along, and you can look inside the Ark of the Testimony. Okay? Great.